You spend years memorizing vocabulary, conjugating verbs, and passing written exams. Then you step into a bustling coffee shop in a foreign city, and your brain completely stalls out. That mental freeze happens because textbooks teach academic English, a rigid, highly structured system designed for written tests. But people out in the real world speak active English, which is fluid, messy, and constantly shifting based on the environment. You cannot fix this disconnect by simply memorizing a thicker dictionary. Knowing 10 different synonyms for a noun will not help you jump into a fast-moving conversation if you don't understand the physical rhythm of the exchange. Egyptian-born comedian Bassem Youssef, a former doctor who performs stand-up in his non-native English, noticed this gap firsthand. He argues that you can be the best English speaker on paper, but achieving true fluency requires learning what he calls a third language. This third language isn't printed in any textbook vocabulary list. It is an invisible framework of social timing, cultural context, and conversational efficiency that you have to master to actually function in daily life. The first unwritten rule of this third language is conversational efficiency. Being fluent in daily life often requires knowing exactly what to leave unsaid. In a classroom, you are taught to ask, "Did you have a good weekend?" But in a casual social setting, a mathematically perfect sentence sounds overly formal. A native speaker will usually collapse the structure and simply ask, "Good weekend?" When speakers need a second to process information, they deploy filler phrases like, "Let me see," or "I mean." These are not grammar mistakes. They are strategic placeholders. They allow the speaker to buy time to think without giving up their turn to talk. Hitting these exact conversational beats signals to the other person that you belong in the discussion. If you take too long to formulate a pristine sentence in your head, the conversation moves on without you. Chopping down sentences and using conversational fillers is a highly developed social optimization. It's how humans maintain the forward momentum of a daily interaction. The second hidden rule revolves around cultural pacing and the delivery of information. If you try to directly translate a joke from your native language into English, the timing almost always collapses. Venezuelan comedian Francisco Ramos notes that English is a remarkably short, right-to-the-point language. If you apply the meandering, highly descriptive syntax of Spanish to an English punchline, you ruin the joke. The humor relies entirely on taking a highly direct route. Your physical delivery has to match the specific cultural expectation, too. A performer might deliver a perfectly translated sentence while holding a neutral, deadpan expression, only to learn that an English-speaking audience interpreted their resting face as anger. Sometimes hitting the right delivery means working against your own natural instincts. A comedian who naturally speaks very quickly in their native language will deliberately slow down their English pacing so the audience has enough time to process the setup. Speaking fluently means you are executing a precise cultural delivery system. You are actively modulating your speed, your facial expressions, and your sentence structure to land an idea in someone else's mind exactly how intended. The third rule is environmental context. Fluency is behavioral. It requires learners to physically blend into local customs, much like a traveler learning the unwritten etiquette of navigating a crowded Amazon riverboat. You could order a meal using flawless vocabulary, but if you sit down and stick your chopsticks vertically upright into a bowl of rice, a major taboo in several Asian cultures, you instantly brand yourself as an outsider. Deep cultural context is exactly what makes idiomatic phrases function. If someone tells you to take a piece of news with a grain of salt, no amount of literal dictionary translation will explain that they want you to view the information with skepticism. This memory palace illustration demonstrates the picture superiority effect. Our brains require physical and cultural contexts to retain language long-term. Read a new word, and you recall about 10% later. Tie that word to a visual stimulus, and retrieval jumps by 65%. To truly absorb a language in your daily life, you have to attach the raw words to the physical spaces, visual cues, and behavioral habits of the people who speak it. The ultimate purpose of fluency is not to pass a final exam with 0 grammatical errors. The goal is to forge genuine connections with other people. Because it relies on human connection, developing daily fluency is a messy process. It guarantees social friction, awkward daily miscommunications, and a high volume of mistakes. But navigating that friction is how you master shared social codes. Participating in those unwritten rules builds deep camaraderie and trust within a community. Stop striving for textbook perfection. Try deliberately shortening your sentences to match the local speed. Study the unspoken dining etiquette, and take the risk of telling a joke. When you embrace the hidden rules of this third language, every single daily interaction transforms into your lifelong classroom.